head and neck, and it's got a negative fast. Everything else is negative, so just do head and neck. I'm Colonel Scott Russi. I'm the Deputy Commander for Clinical Services and the Chief of Trauma Surgery. I'm responsible to ensure that the quality of healthcare that we deliver here is within the standards that are set up in the U.S. They actually didn't tell me what base I was going to, and I didn't find out until I got in theater. Currently assigned to the 452nd Combat Support Hospital at Salerno Air Base in Afghanistan, and a 1984 graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. Go Air Force, beat Army! And ops tempo was pretty upbeat at that time. We were taking casualties every day.
But it was routine that every 24 to 48 hours we would get 6 to 15 injured patients that would flow in off of medical transport flights.
We got a sheet.
Okay, yes, right here, sir.
Okay. Yeah, please. Okay. Second degree burn.
And that's when I met Dr. Russi. He was colonel. I think that was either his 4th or 5th deployment, so he just brought a lot of just worldly knowledge of what it's like to be deployed.
Same blood around the D Forest. Looks good. There it is.
Probably at some point was in theater when you were there. And if you got injured, he probably helped take care of you.
He's just so suited for that field. He's calm, he's collected. He never lets chaos happen around us. It's important when you're in the emergency department to have that person that can stay calm, cool, and collected.
So we're gonna roll you my way a little bit.
The hospital treated all injured NATO personnel, so US, British, what have you, and then it also treated local nationals.
A couple of cases where Scott and I operated together, and his clinical judgment is very good, very thorough. He's a good surgeon.
I think you probably ask any of us and we'd say that's the best job that we've ever had. It is the most pure form of doing what you feel you've been called to do, which for all of us is medicine.
You never really remember the ones that you save, you always just remember the ones that die. And you carry sadness that you couldn't save them. Nicholas was a private.
Okay.
Yeah. He was in the back of an MRAP and he got hit by an IED and I took care of him. He started to swell in his head. Died.
Private Gideon.
It's hard to explain unless you've been deployed what that experience is like and what that bond is like.
Private First Class Nicholas.
And so you sort of cling together and form a new family. The best description of what it is it's your new family.
It reminded you of the cost of war. And we would line the road all the way from the hospital to the runway. As the soldier passed by, we would salute. The entire base would show up. So I came home, and after my 5th deployment, I looked at Michelle, my wife, and I said, I can't do this anymore. You followed me around for the last 20 years. Where do you want to go? And she said, well, I want to go northwest. Got offered to work at a private practice group in Eugene, Oregon to help Sacred Heart Riverbend set up their Level 2 trauma center.
And so he was here and very happy with his family and loved Oregon. He reached out to me and asked if I wanted to come interview with their practice and see if this was a good fit.
My first introduction to Dr. Russi was he came out to let me know what was going on with my son. And he'd been stabbed 4 times. Dr. Russi said that he had him in surgery and that he was in intensive care and they were monitoring him. I know without a shadow of a doubt, if he was not on call, my son would not be here. There's no question in my mind.
We get trauma referrals from downtown Eugene. We receive patients from Roseburg. We also receive some patients from the VA.
Still working as a trauma surgeon at Riverbend, and I'd see veterans come in that were mismanaged medically.
I can't exactly come up with the exact amount of time, but it was several years okay, and several doctors trying to figure out why I was having all these urinary tract infections. You know, they'd read what was on my records, and sometimes I think they were guessing.
It is not uncommon to hear veterans be frustrated with the care that they receive and the timeliness of care that they receive at the Veterans Administration.
And within a week, Dr. Russi figured out what was going on. While he was in there, he found 4 hernias.
So he came to our emergency room, and it was a very easy diagnosis to identify and to take care of, and we took care of it.
I'm in and out of there, and I'm a whole new person. Just getting up from a chair, bending over, you know, getting up out of bed, he changed my whole life. I mean, just changed my whole life. And I was so appreciative, I can't even begin to tell you.
So I talked it over with my wife. I said, you know, I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Got an email at work with a contractual offer to work at the VA full-time at my requested salary.
Part of it was probably his desire to be back amongst his own kind again. I know, again, that sounds silly, but I love taking care of veterans too. I mean, anybody who's a veteran, there's just a bond that you can't really describe.
Mr. DeFazio for 3 minutes.
Gentleman's recognized for 3 minutes.
I have a totally dysfunctional management at the VA hospital in Roseburg, Oregon. The Office of Special Counsel had found in Senate testimony, yes, indeed, substandard care was being provided by the head surgeon. He was suspended from his duties, but is still the head surgeon. This particular physician was not providing modern care when he did colonoscopies.
David Phillips wrote an article for the New York Times that Dr. Ranjan and the executive committee at the Roseburg VA were manipulating quality data in order to get bonuses.
Dr. Dinesh Ranjan was chief of surgery at the VA Roseburg, and therefore also over Dr. Russi here at Eugene.
When Scott came over to the VA, there was quite a few of us that knew him. So those of us, we were jumping up and down. We were just so excited to have him come on board.
I saw him walking into and I was like, what are you doing here? You know, got all excited to see Dr. Russi.
It was great. I mean, he had such a fantastic attitude. The nurses loved him, a team player.
And the experience brings with itself the ability to move bureaucracies towards what they need to be.
Started taking patients to the OR, started ramping up my practice. We developed the ability to do minimally invasive surgery.
The level of care definitely went up immediately. Surgeries that we previously sent out were able to happen here in the VA.
But Ranjan accused me of inappropriately performing the procedure. And I asked him what the issue was, and he said, well, you can't do a 3-column hemorrhectomy. And I looked at him and I said, well, the data today shows that you can, and you can do it very safely. It was a contentious conversation, but I looked at him and I said, I did the surgery according to standards, and I'm willing to stand up for it.
A surgeon who served 29 years honorably in the military, 10 years at my regional hospital with rave reviews, and after 30 days at my new VA clinic in Eugene, was dismissed in the most unusual way.
So I meet with Dr. Ranjan, and he hands me a sealed envelope that tells me that I'm being fired from the VA for being a threat to the veterans and egregious mismanagement of patients. No allegations in there whatsoever.
As VA employees, we're responsible for taking care of veterans, and a big part of that responsibility is making sure we keep them safe. Have you seen something unsafe happening? Something that you thought wasn't right, but felt it wasn't your place to speak up?
In the VA, we call it stop the line. You're expected to stand up and to say, I see a problem here, I see an issue, and let's work on this and resolve this.
And he went from being the head of the trauma center at Sacred Heart Medical Center to being a surgeon with the VA, and 4 weeks later, he was fired.
We were told to disperse or potentially lose your job.
It was the most disheartening thing I have been through in I don't know how long.
Dr. Russi see the bullshit that Ranjan was lying about and the way he was handling the surgical departments and how wrong it was for the veterans.
We came together. I mean, this is wrong.
The probably wasn't a single person that didn't stand up for Dr. Russi at the VA when we started to get wind of what was going down.
We bought arm bracelets that said Team Russi. We wrote letters to DeFazio.
Area, and it's about providing the best care to our veterans. And that isn't going to happen if people can be intimidated or just shown the door when they raise concerns. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Today in the United States, if you are not a board-certified physician, you cannot get privileges at a civilian institution. You will not work in the United States. Board certification is that important. A majority of the physicians in the VA are not board-certified, which means the VA is hiring physicians who cannot keep a job in the civilian sector.
As a veteran makes me angry because it is a minimum standard of qualification that you have attained a level of mastery in your field.
The concept that you don't have to be board certified to practice medicine it's not acceptable, and it provides poor quality care to the veterans.
And I think it's going to continue until we, America, says no, enough. We need to treat our veterans better than this.
Some of them just they don't know where to go and what to do. And the VA is their only source, and if we can't give them quality care, then they're in trouble.
They put their lives on their lines for us, for us. We need to be given back to them, and they deserve the best care that we can give.
If we could get Scott back in a minute, we would take him back.
We all cross our fingers that someday he might make his way back to the VA and bring that fantastic care back.
I think America should pay attention and care about Dr. Russi's situation because he's not the only one. Now that I pay attention, it's not just the VA at Roseburg, it's other VAs.
At a VA clinic in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Appointments at the Denver VA has topped 42 days.
Our heroes living in third world conditions.
It's unacceptable.
The VA declined our many requests for an on-camera interview.
It's revealed widespread manipulation of appointment wait times.
There are investigations by both Congress and the Inspector General.
I'm here to tell you that my dead veteran husband cannot be much more patient than he is today, but me, I'm pissed.
Showtime.